people who talk about the one-state solution suffer from the problem that they can never tell you how it will come about. And indeed, it is very difficult. It is very difficult. And as you see, I'm suggesting that the current one state should become a non-apartheid state. Well, how is that going to happen? It's certainly not going to happen if I ask the Israelis permission. It's not going to happen like that. And many Israelis will fight and resist this option. And this is a really serious problem. Not only that, but many people in the world support the idea of Israel. They like the fact that there is a Jewish state in the Middle East, and they support it. So what is really left as an option for the Palestinians? What can they do? They're friendless, they're weak. What can they do? Now, this is the plan B that I would like to propose. This plan B changes the whole paradigm. We don't talk about the two-state solution because it's dead. It's quite clearly dead, and nobody wastes any more time in talking about it. But what we do is look at the reality on the ground. And the reality is there are people, Palestinians, living currently in Palestine who are discriminated against. One of the major factors perpetuating this situation is the existence of the Palestinian Authority. Now, Adam very helpfully pointed to an economic dimension of this. And of course, it applies in the political area as well. Because, you know, so long as there is a so-called government for the Palestinians and a Palestinian Authority, it becomes the natural address for political leaders, and people can continue to believe that there is a possibility of the creation of a Palestinian state. I would like to suggest that it is the continuation of this government with no power, of this authority with no authority. It is the continuation of this illusion is what has kept the two-state solution on the map, on the agenda. So it would seem to me that the best thing the Palestinians can do is to dissolve the Palestinian Authority and revert to direct Israeli rule, and in a sense to say to Israel, here we are, you are ruling us, but you're pretending you're not, because there is this layer called the Palestinian Authority. Well, we don't accept that. We are directly ruled by you, but we are unequal. So we demand equal civil and legal rights as ruled by you, and we demand Israeli citizenship. Now, what does that do? That converts this struggle from a futile search for two states, which cannot happen and won't happen, to a struggle against apartheid. So what you then have is a people struggling against discrimination against them by the same ruler. So the same government rules everybody. And if the Palestinians can get citizenship, they have to, because the question would be, well, why are you, Israel, ruling us? Are we non-people? What is our situation? What is our status? And it seems to me this puts the Israelis and its backers in a very interesting position. Because what do you answer? What's your answer? Supposing I told you tomorrow this happened, the Palestinian Authority just went, and the Palestinians said, right, we are an occupied people, but we demand our rights. What would you as Israel do, really, in the face of that? Can you really say to the world, oh no, we don't accept, these are lesser people, these do not have rights? Of course it cannot happen. So therefore, the struggle, which is a futile waste of time for two states, which has now died and should no longer be on the political map, then becomes converted into a struggle against apartheid, something familiar to the world, something which we've been through. So we have the civil rights movement in the United States, which we recall, and we have the struggle in South Africa. There are precedents for this kind of thing. Now, of course, I do not say this in ignorance of the tremendous obstacles to this idea. Of course, there is a whole question of logistics. How do you do this? how do you end the whole question of the Palestinian Authority rule? Look at the division between the PA, Fatah, and Hamas, which creates further problems. And of course, cannot be denied that many Palestinians longed to get rid of Israel. They longed to be free of Israeli soldiers among them, and that you have to respect that. One understands that. And of course, the most serious thing of all, the international consensus, the so-called international of the European Union, the United States, who have been banging on about the two-state solution. You're challenging them directly and saying, frankly, it's a waste of time, and we're not interested in your solutions. We have our own. And so, what would be the consequences if such a thing were to happen? Let us dream for a bit. What would be the consequences? Well, number one, this is a complete game changer, as the Americans would say. This changes the whole game. It returns the issue to the Palestinians and takes it away from the international community and all these funders and donors who are making conditions, and the World Bank, which says you must do this and you must do that. Changes the whole game. And frankly, it is the only way, I think, which will lead eventually to the one-state, the real one-state solution. Of course, we know that there will be a period of time in which the struggle will be intense, in which there will be discrimination against the Palestinians, in which there will be second-class citizens, as the blacks were in South Africa, but it is the only route to make the one-state. And in time, and I'm projecting way into the future, it ultimately solves the refugee problem, because the Palestinians then come back to their original homeland, and of course it ends this terrible conflict.